Okay, this is lesson 3.2. We did 3.1. I have not recorded that. I might do that today, and then I'll put it up also. But 3.1 was, anybody remember what 3.1 was? Slope. Very good. Slope of a line. Slope, graphing lines. This is all stuff you're going to need. It's very important. You're going to need it for next semester in Algebra 1 second semester. You're definitely going to need it in geometry, and you'll definitely need it in Algebra 2. So this is stuff that you need to learn. So let's just go ahead and learn it right now, okay? Okay, so we're just going to label the parts of the coordinate plane. And this is important because we're going to speak Mathenese. And if you know Mathenese, we're going to be able to communicate very well. If you don't know Mathenese, you're going to have a hard time understanding what I'm saying because I'm going to speak in Mathenese. I'm not going to say, oh, this line right here, you know, the vertical. Oh, you guys don't know vertical. You know, the one that goes straight up and down. Well, this one goes straight up and down too. I'm teaching my son to drive. And so when I'm in the car with him, he hates driving with me because I'll tell him, he goes, okay, where do I go? Because when you're not driving, you don't really pay attention. So I'm like, well, you got to get to this address right here. Well, how do I get there? Well, you're going to turn south up ahead. Which way south? I don't know. He goes, is it that way or that way? I go, no, it's south. You can't tell people right and left. The reason you can't tell people right and left is because which direction you're coming from. So you need to understand north-south, just like you need to understand the different terminology for what we're doing. Okay, so we need to understand that this right here, this vertical line is called the y-axis. That's the y-axis. The center point in the middle is called the origin. That is 0, 0. And then, of course, the horizontal line is the x-axis. And this is probably one of the most important ones. This right here is a point. And when we are trying to identify a point, it's like the 0, 0 here. X is first, Y is second. So if I want to tell you what that point is, I'm going to say things like 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. Okay, the X is always first, just like in the alphabet. X is always first. I go over 3, I go down 4. This is how we can communicate on a two-dimensional plane. Okay, graphing a linear equation. You want to rewrite the equation, and they're going to say function form. I say slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form, or function form. Choose a value for x and make a table of values. Plot the point from the table of values. A line through these points is the graph of the equation. This is one way to graph an equation. What does that mean? That means that when you have a graph, you make an XY table or an input-output table. You just make up any value for x you want. Negative 1, 0, 1 will work. You plug it into the function, you'll get your y out, then you can graph. Let's see what that looks like. Here is your function. Okay? Now, when I put something in for x, I get something out for y. So I'm going to use negative 1, 0, and 1. Well, negative 1 makes this. I'm going to put equals here. Then we go 3 times negative 1 minus 2. And then we go 3 times 0 minus 2. And then we go 3 times 1 minus 2. This is negative 3 minus 2, which is negative 5. So when y is negative 1, I'm sorry, when x is negative 1, y is negative 5. This is a basic input-output table. When x is 0, y is negative 2. When x is 1, y is 1. Because 3 minus 2 is 1. You can make up any numbers you want. I like to make up nice and small numbers. I like to have a negative and a positive, and I like to have a 0. So basically, I then go and I graph these. Negative 1 is here on x. Negative 5, 3, 4, 5 is right here. So I just went to negative 1, negative 5, and I graphed. Then I'm going to go to 0, negative 2, and I graph. And then I go to 1 and 1. And I graph. This is my line. So then I'm going to get me a straight line here so I can make this line look straight. And I'm going to connect my dots. You have to connect my dots. And then I'm going to put arrows on the end of my line. Now, my line isn't very straight. That's okay. You don't have to make your line close to straight. I don't care. Some teachers will tell you to get out your ID or a ruler. I don't care. Just make it close, okay? That's all we're doing. That's pretty simple, isn't it? I hope so. Okay, so you do number 2, but not right now. Okay, we're going to skip that for now. We'll come back to it. Let's go to number 4. I only have the y. Y equals negative 3. So if y equals negative 3, where's my x? Anybody know? I don't have an x, do I? No. You know why? Because this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a horizontal line. It's a horizontal line at negative 3. So that's all I need to do. I don't need to do my table of values. There is no x. So when you only have a y, this is a horizontal line. Down here, I only have the x, right? So I don't get a y out. I only have the x. So what is this? This is a vertical line. And it's a vertical line at positive 2. So there I go 2, and then I make a vertical line. Not very straight, but that's okay. Only have the y, horizontal. Only have the x, vertical. All right? So now we're going to talk about slope-intercept. You don't have to make a table of values, guys. If you have the function, which I have right here, I don't have to make a table of values. Now, sometimes on the test, it's going to ask you to, and you have to be able to do it. And you have to do the ones we didn't do for homework. So if you have any questions, you'll need to come in. But m equals slope, b equals my y-intercept. If I have it, see number 6, I don't have to make a table of values for number 6. What's my slope? 2 over 3. It is not the x. It's just 2 over 3. What's my y-intercept? 1. So the first thing you graph is the loner. You graph the loner first. So I go to 1 on the y-axis. That's why it's called the y-intercept. Go to 1 on my y-axis. And then I do my slope. Now, you have to remember your top number is either up or down. Your bottom number is right or left. If it's positive, it is up. If it's negative, it's down. If it's positive, it's right. If it's negative, it goes left. So I start right here from my y-intercept. And where am I going to go, guys? Up. How many? So I go up 2, and then where am I going to go? right 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I make my next dot. Now, I have to make 3 dots before I can make my line. Now, slope goes in both directions. It goes both ways. So even though this is positive and I went up, I can also go down 2 as long as I go left 3. Sometimes you're going to go, I don't have any more room. Well, you just need to go the other direction. Then I make my line. Don't forget to make your arrows. If you don't make your arrows on the test, I will mark it wrong. Have to have arrows, okay? That's it. That's all we're doing. That's easy, isn't it? Okay, let's look at number 8. People want to know, where does the negative go with? Does it go with the 3 or does it go with the 4? And the answer is yes. It doesn't matter. It goes with either one. I'll put it with the 3. Okay? It can't go with both, though. Okay, now we're going to look at number 9. And then I think this lesson is going to be done. Well, no, it's not. Now, I have to have my y by itself, don't I? Don't I? Yes, thank you. Yeah, is my y by itself? No. So I have to move the 2x. I have to move the 2x over to here. When I move the 2x to the other side, what happens to it? It becomes negative, one person. Minus 15. I have to put the 2x first, because remember, your slope has to be first. It's slope-intercept. So the 2x, the x goes first. Now what do I have to do? Divide everything by negative 5. This goes away. Y equals negative 2 over negative 5 is positive 2 over 5. That can't be simplified. X plus 3. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 is a positive 3. So my slope is 2 over 5. My y-intercept is 3. So the first thing I do is go to 3 on my y-axis, y-intercept, y-axis, and put a dot at 3. Now, do I go up or down with 2/5? Up. How many? Up 2. Do I go right or left with the 5? How many? 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. And then I put my next dot. Now, I cannot go up 2. I'm out of graph. And this is what you guys will do on the test. Please don't do this. You'll take time on the test and you'll go, and you'll go ahead and make the graph extend. And then, I got to go over this way, so now I got to go, and it just becomes a mess. Please don't do that. If you cannot go in one direction, you go in the other direction. So I went up 2, which means I can go down 2. I went right 5, that means I can go 3, 4, left 5, and make my dot. There, oh there is my line. Don't forget to make your arrows. That's it. That's all we're doing. Now, we're going to get... Are you leaving? Are your feet cold? Oh. Now, we're going to get something called f of x. F of x is the same thing as y. Okay, so now, what is my slope here, kids? What's my slope? Not the x, it's just the 3. Now, I can make it 3 over 1. Now, here's the hard part. What's my y-intercept? 0, yes. I don't see it, but there is a plus 0 here. Okay? Number 12, you have to isolate the y. Okay, number 13. What kind of line is this? I only have a y. What kind of line is it? What kind of line is it? Yeah. No, it's horizontal. So, when I want to know the slope of this line, it's a horizontal line. What's the slope of the floor that you walk on? What is the slope? Flat, or we call that? No, we call it 0. That's a zero slope. This slope, this is a vertical line. With a vertical line, your slope is undefined. Because a vertical slope is like the wall. Who can walk on the wall? Spider-Man, yes. And Spider-Man is in his underwear. That's how, yes he is. That's how you know it's undefined. Only Spider-Man in his underwear can walk on this line. That's why it's undefined. Zero slope, this slope is at 3. So I go to 3, I make a horizontal line. See, I can walk on this one right here. I cannot walk on this one right here. I would fall off. See, I'm falling. Ah, unless you got a rope. Or you're Spider-Man in your underwear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is this lesson. If you have any questions, please come in. Love you. Have a nice day. Bob.